Hey guys, welcome to another episode of
Discovering Our Journey.
I'm your host MC.
And I'm JC. Oh,
Man,
yes.
it was a beautiful day today, wasn't it?
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous like always. I got into the spring, to the spring feeling of it all. So I'm like in the garden right now and just kind of maintaining all that.
I got into spring cleaning yesterday.
Oh,
man, yeah, vacuum walls and stuff. I was on a good one yesterday.
That's good. Because then you feel organized. It's so important to feel
Yeah,
organized.
I didn't go to sleep till like midnight though. I was like, so it was one of those things. See, I'm a night owl. When I start
Holy
cleaning,
moly.
I just start going and going and going and going and just I don't know what it is. I'm a type of person that can work. I work best at late.
Oh, okay.
See, I don't.
Yeah.
I rather stay up late. So I'll start cleaning 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, I'm like, dude, it's already 10, 11. What the heck? That's just how I am, though. You know, it's just I'm more of a night person.
I'm a morning person.
Yeah,
no. I go to sleep like early, 9:30, 10. I'm out
But what time are you up?
early.
Well, see, I'm up early.
Depends. I go through some seasons where I wake up like at 4 in the morning, and then some that I wake up like at 6, 7. Though I'm out of bed because then I feel like I waste my day.
Well, the last couple of months I've been waking up at 5 to go to the gym by 6. So I mean that's pretty early.
Yeah. But I don't know. Are you guys like me, where you guys were taught like the early bird gets the worm? Because that's the way I was taught, and that's why I always got up like that. Yeah.
Dang, I was always taught, look, wait till the guy in the morning gets the worm and then just take it from him. Or have that friend or that person be your friend, you know, and then you got to share your part.
I'm gonna have my eye on you.
I'm like, well, hey, what you got? You got the early worm? Oh, let me bring something over. See, I got to give you my piece too to have something.
I call those people moochers.
No, but I don't come empty-handed. I won't come empty-handed.
But you come to make sure to share.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's good.
Well, you want to share?
Oh, yeah. But recently, we've been talking about, you gave me a good one on the phone.
Yeah, man, I've gone through ups and downs in my thought process. I don't know about you guys, but, you know, we hear it all. It's like, you know, oh, you have to be alike. Oh, you have to be different. Oh, you know, you guys are too much alike, or no, you're too different, or this or that. It's like yin and yang, and you know, oh, you know, sometimes we said it before, God gives you who you need, not who you want.
Right.
You know, so it's like, you know, which one is it? Is it is this person the one I need? Is this the one that I want? What is it exactly? You know, and
so is there a formula? Have you found, is there a formula or no?
Technically, there is a formula, but the formula to this is individual. You have to know your own dynamic to be able to create that formula. No one can create the real formula for you.
And you can't fake the funk, right? Because I mean, how unfair is it when we fake the funk and then all of a sudden we're like, hey, and you're not happy, and so many years have already been. Oh, sorry.
And the thing is, and understanding
hurt person here, not like.
And the thing is understanding ourselves, you know, because sometimes, you know, you could be an introvert, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, and you think, and that's why you have to really understand yourself to know the formula. It's like, you know what, I want to be, you know, they say, oh, well, I'm an introvert, so, you know, I want to get a partner that's maybe a little bit more extroverted. But
sometimes that's not always it.
Exactly. And
because they're going out and always mouthing off is always going to get to you sometimes.
Well, the thing is, you have to really ask yourself what you know, you have to go out there sometimes and look for these types of situations to see if you really want it. Because we might think we want it because, you know, it's almost like sitting there going, oh, well, cauliflower is good for you and celery are good for you and this and that. But if you're not a dietitian and understand how the process of breaking down these vegetables are, not just every vegetable is good for you. So we have to understand ourselves and really start to do more meditation on ourselves. Like, what is it that we're looking for? What is it that we want to be able to go out and choose a partner that's going to fit to what we can work and create together?
Absolutely.
I think, because again, there is no such thing as a perfect relationship. The one that you keep working on is the perfect one.
But however, now when you were saying this, it did make me think, though, we always kind of search for someone like the opposite. Like, I looked for someone like my dad. Did you look for someone like your mom? Or because that normally is what it is, right?
Well, see, and this is where we start to find ourselves in little situations. I don't know how it happened for you, but for me, yes, I look for someone like my grandmother in a sense. My grandmother.
There you go.
My grandmother, for me, loving, caring, just, you know, just all about love and care.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing is that, you know, the way that I did it, unfortunately for me, through time, I realized that it stopped me from growing with my partner because all I was expecting her is to fill my need of cup,
Mhm.
of the feeling, of the warmth, of the family, of whatever that I
Is it,
felt.
and that's because it sounds like you went with expectations?
Well, but the expectations were right there because she was that person. But I focused on her feeling my need of feeling loved and that protection she gave me, like my grandmother did. And
Mm.
I didn't focus on the relationship because of that. So
That's
again,
big.
that's another
Yeah.
thing we have to be careful with.
Yeah.
We can't sit there and have the person and be like, you know, just fill what you're our cups. We can't. We've heard that before, and I'm a very strong believer in we all have certain necessities and stuff like that, needs that we want to fill, but we have to learn to fill them ourselves, and the support of our partner should be a plus. It shouldn't be a dependency, and that's where the lines start to get a little blurry.
Oof, dependency. Okay, wait a second though. Wait. So when you say that though, see that goes back to our childhood. We got to really reach into our childhood and make sure that we are good because it all starts there. Listen, one thing I've realized is this is we have everything we need most of the time and it's only chaotic because it's no longer in places where it should be. I noticed it big time when I finally understood my daughter. She is a little bit of a slob. Okay. And so in that, I'm just watching her and observing her, and it's very apparent that she needs help. So I'm thinking, well, obviously she's a little scatterbrained sometimes. I need to help her. And so I went up to her room and I organized everything.
Mhm.
Why does she then, as time goes by, she starts to misuse the 5-tier shelf that I bought her, and instead of putting all of her little her collectibles on that the way I had organized it,
Mhm.
it's now on her shoe rack. It's like it's a wooden shoe rack. But
Mhm.
why is it on top of that? And then her clothes is everywhere and she gets jumbled again. And I think that chaotic mess, it's not that she's lacking things, she just doesn't know how to properly organize it. And I think that's what happens a lot of the time is that there's a moment where like I was living my single life and everything, I had it down pat. I had my paperwork organized, I had my refrigerator organized, but then when someone else comes in and you have to share that space,
Mhm.
it's almost like sometimes when you do become that dependent person,
Mhm.
it becomes overwhelming on another person and like the whole thing falls apart and chaos happens.
Yeah, there's got to be, like we've talked on the show before, a balance.
Yes.
So you said something like, hey, I organized it like this. I had something for her to follow, this and that. But I think with someone like her that might not know how to prioritize what's important and what's not, you need to work with her to see what is it that she wants out of these things, and
And
it's
that's what
like,
we should do in our relationship too, though. That's where it
exactly.
kind of it goes around full circle.
But the thing is that if you keep depending on someone, like there's a big thing that I hear a lot. I remember my wife always said, I don't want to be your nag. I don't want to be a nag. She said that a long time to me, and and I guess, I mean, to be quite honest, I mean, what is really a nag?
But about what though? I don't want to be
It's
a
just,
nag about my
for example,
health. I don't want to be a nag
I guess, for
about.
example, like let's just say the typical stuff, picking up after yourself, right?
Well, wait. First of all,
You okay there?
I will be a nag. Okay, no, because I mean, come on, women, we make our
Okay.
house into homes,
Okay.
and so we work so hard. Like I
Okay.
said, when I cleaned my daughter's
Yeah.
room, it was disappointing to see her just go and.
Okay, I got you. Now, but see, the lines have to be established, especially there's a difference between being an nag to your daughter and being an nag to your husband. So there's lines because, for one, your husband commingle a lot more in your own room, let's just say, than your daughter in her room. There's got to be, and there's different ways. She's your daughter, so you got to educate her too. You're not trying to educate your husband, so
You shouldn't, right? You should.
you shouldn't have to educate your husband.
Mm-mm.
So one thing that again, I brought this up because the situation is I felt like I needed you know, she wasn't a nag because when I got with her, it's like I needed someone to tell me what to do. I needed someone just like my grandmother. I mean, my grandmother I'd literally take my clothes off to go in the shower. My grandma picked it up and put.
Oh no, you
And
didn't. Oh
I mean, that's how it
no.
was. Again, but it wasn't like it wasn't like I'd be like, so she can pick it up, so she can pick. It was just one of those things where it was just natural to me. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I'm not saying my wife did the same exact thing, but we sometimes, she would take care of the laundry. She would take care of stuff. Sometimes it wouldn't make it on the hamper, maybe all the time. But the point is, hamper's right there. So the point about the nag is the reason I brought this up is because, again, we start to go with what's comfortable.
Yeah.
And then when it's not comfortable, then I choose to call it a nag. It's not fair. It's not fair for my wife. It's not fair for anybody else.
Yeah,
that we have
sure.
these expectancies of doing stuff. And then we get tired of these things. Like, it got to a point where I'm like, okay, quit telling me nothing. Stop nagging it. Ooh, man, that's the wrong word.
Oh yeah. Those are fine
yeah,
words.
fine words and stuff like that. But but it's one of those things where it's like, man, I shouldn't have went there. I shouldn't have even been on that platform to even create this.
Yes. See, I totally feel what you're saying. This is why it's so important that before we get into relationships, we have to be good with ourselves. Because once we know ourselves, just like you said, when we get together with somebody, there is no expectations. You guys will together make a constitution, right? A law that you guys both establish, and that is going to be revolving around aspirations, standards. I mean, regulations. It's going to be something that you guys build together.
And the dependency has to be support, not action. You know what I'm saying?
The dependency
has to be supportive. Again, support your good. Let's just say I want to be, like with my wife now, I wash my own clothes. She helps me to fold. And I said, and there's times that take a little longer than I should and have to make like 3 or 4 loads. But that's because I go to the gym a lot. I constantly changing my work clothes and it get dirty. So I sometimes could leave it. And she's like, don't wait so long. It's like, I'll help you do it. I was like, no, I can't depend on you because it's like, I want to do my part too. So it's like a balance and I'm like, all right. But she's like, well, let me help you fold it. Because if not, I'm like, all right. So I'll try to put it away. And then she'll be like, you're still living out of that bad? I was like, yeah.
That's it, yeah. But that's your trying.
So I know I am trying, and so she'll be like, "Okay, let me help you," and I'm like, "All right," because again, I don't want to be dependent, but then also I can't rely. I mean, we have to work on ourselves, and the supportiveness of our partners is very important.
Yeah.
But we also can't just not do nothing and be like, and not ask for help and not complete it. We have to be able to work together.
So what's the difference with it being kind of a leaning or a crutch, just a little bit, versus total dependency? Like, how do you see that?
Total dependency is like you don't do it, and then unfortunately your wife will come by and goes, "Oh, he didn't do it," and she just
and
goes
it creates like an argument.
Well, sometimes you know what? Sometimes the dependency is like the women will do it. They'll hang out. We have friends that are like, yeah, if I wouldn't hang his clothes, and he would probably just wear the same shirt, the wrinkled, whatever. He wouldn't do it. And I'm like, and I don't want that for my husband. And I'm like, but what if, then how's he ever gonna, you say you're doing too much. So it's like, we have to, if you're, if you feel your husband's not, we have to sit there and be like, come on, so sometimes women will take on that role without us asking. And sometimes we're a little bit like, well, you did it. Oh, dang, and it's like, then it just becomes one of these habits where we're not growing.
See, but then that's where it makes me wonder, how did they grow up? Did they watch their mom do that? Did they watch?
Yeah, they probably did. I mean, I know I did. I did. But like I said, for me, once I realized it, I'm like, oh, dang. I'm like, yeah, I don't want that. I don't want to depend on her to do these things. It's like we should work together. Now, of course, I get it. If one day I'm like, oh my God, or let's just say I'm sick or something. She's like, oh, I'll wash your clothes or whatever. I'm not going to be like opposed to it. I'm like, yeah, of course, she understands that.
Yeah,
I'm sick or whatever. Yeah. Wash my clothes, no problem. Other than that, I'm washing my clothes.
And that's the thing, though. When you're not a full 100. When you're a 60, she's your 40. When you're 40, it goes back and forth. It's never going to be 100%.
Same thing with cooking. Yeah. Same thing with different stuff. Like I said, we can't have these expectancies of our partners. We have to make sure that we are working together to build something.
Yes.
Because again, if we're going to be dependent, there's expectations, and then there's letdowns because of our expectations are never going to be on the same level as someone
Yeah.
else. We put value in things that we do sometimes, like, so then we'll start, well, I wash your clothes and I do this and I will do that. And then we're
See, what do you
starting to,
taught? What would you get advice to people that don't want to do that? That they have unknowingly been the people that made them dependent. Like, you know what I mean? Like they just like, but they get frustrated and it's not coming out of joy anymore because now it's just out of like, you should be learning
yeah.
and they're getting exhausted.
I mean, it's communication.
Yes, I would say
Communication
so
is the
too.
number one thing. And that's how this whole thing started, which is we want to be the cure for someone. We don't want to be the medication. Medication is forever. And we don't want that. We want to be a cure. So yes, can we lean on people to help us to grow? Yes, that's the supportive part of it. That's how we have to be. We have to grow in the relationship. We have to grow. We don't just sit there and take the medicine every day and go, oh, okay, this and that. Then if we're just going to be taking that medicine or we're medicine for somebody else, the person's never going to grow. You're never going to grow. So we have to have these conversations of how can I be a cure for you? Do you want to be better? And if they don't want to be better, then that's a whole different topic.
How did you come out of it yourself? How did you say, hey, because if it was like a natural thing for you,
Yeah.
how did you finally snap into it and say like, hey, MC Junior, it's time to grow up? Like, how did you say that to yourself? Because that's hard.
Well, I always tried, when I started to realize this, I tried, you know, to ask myself, well, what am I doing this or what am I doing that? And it was hard because to be your own therapist, you could say, is very hard.
Oh yeah.
So to
Because
have
that's
no
change and
wall.
change nobody
Yeah,
likes.
and have no wall. So a lot of this change that questions and whatever, honestly, a lot of it has to do with, therapy.
Yeah.
Having the right person to ask and understand and really see it from someone else's perspective and understand that is so important. So, but I at least was looking for answers.
Yeah.
So you guys have to start there. If you're the person you feel like you're being someone else's medication, and they're not growing, then you need to communicate. You need to talk to this person, both of you. Therapy, it's very, very helpful if you can figure out what you need out of it, not just going like, I don't know why I'm here. It's like, try to understand yourself first. I will say that if you're going to go to therapy, couples therapy is very subjective. It's very difficult to go to. Trust me, been there, done that. But what I'm telling you, if you really want to know more about yourself, go to somebody, find somebody that can be that wall for you, or even, like I said, a therapist for self-growth. Because again, there's nobody else that's in your way but you.
Oh my gosh. When I first tried therapy, okay, I didn't like it. It took me a couple therapists to really understand that it was about me. Like at first, the first one I went into, I was just like, oh, well, what brings you here? Well, and I unloaded,
Let me
and
get it. Let me guess. You complained, didn't you?
yeah. So guess
That's
what?
the easiest part.
The
Complain.
the person that obviously needed the help wasn't him. It was me.
Of course, we all need help.
And that made me feel like so upset. Like, what do you mean?
It's like, well, let's talk about you. Well, what do you mean I'm talking? Do you know what he does? Do you know what I have to go through? Do you know me?
Yes.
So it's like, wait, let's talk about you.
Yes.
What are you trying to feel? What are you trying to figure out here? What's going on?
And it was hard to get slapped in the face with that, though.
Yeah.
That comeback was so brutal that, like I said, it took me a couple to really understand. And when I finally got desperate, that's when I said, you know what? It is me.
Yeah.
It's me, no matter what
just
it is.
realize this. Another example I like to give is just realize this. Don't go to the same restaurant expecting differences and complain. You're going to the restaurant. You choose this restaurant.
Yep.
All right. The restaurant's a relationship, of course. And, and sometimes there's
It's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor. And sometimes there's good meals and there's not so good meals. And there's good service and not so good service. And it's a whole thing. But the point is that you choose to be in that restaurant. If you don't, then that's a whole different topic that we have to talk about. But if you choose to be there, don't complain. Trust me, it took me years to figure out how not to complain, about my wife, let's just say, and really focus on myself.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
again, can we complain about our partners? Heck yeah. We always can complain about our partners. We always have things that we think should be or ways things should be. But the point is, let's focus on ourselves and things will be so much more calmer, So I'm telling you guys need to be a cure for each other.
Yeah.
All right. Don't be a medicine. Don't be that just sustaining the situation, the band-aid, and because if not, it's going to be very, very difficult.
And it's how you say it, right? It's not what you say, it's how you say it too. Especially when you go in it knowing they're going to behave this way. You got to already be one step ahead, knowing, and then that communication has to come in gradually. It really does.
Yeah,
Because change is not easy. It's a very touchy subject, but I think it's one that we do have to now be more and more aware of, because
Yeah.
once the family starts, man, those kids are watching you.
Yeah.
They're watching you. And that's how I believe really generational curses happen.
And again, it's one of those things that there's so many reasons sometimes we stay in relationships where it's like, oh, it's for the kids. That's a big one. It's for the kids. And sometimes, there's issues where you're like, you know what? I'm already here. It's a lot worse out there. Might as well stay here. And it's like, there's so many things that you can convince yourself to stay there. But instead of trying to convince yourself why you're in this relationship or why you shouldn't leave, convince yourself to make a difference.
Absolutely.
Because it's not easy. It's not going to be easy. And I can guarantee you the outcome is way better than what the outcome is going to be if you don't do nothing. Because if you don't do nothing, it's going to eventually boil over to the point where there's resentment, there's just anger, there's frustration, there's just a lot in there. And it's just going to create a whole different dynamic that, you could be even passing on to your kids and not realizing it.
Yes.
I'm sure you've experienced some things where you're like, man, that wasn't the person I was. And how was I with my kids? I don't even know how I was because I was not in a good place. So you want to be there for the kids, but in reality, it's actually could be hurting them more than helping them.
And kids, okay, kids are not also though, with kids or without kids, when you call it quits and everything is chaotic, more than likely, no, very, very likely, all you're going to do is create this again and again and again, because you're always going to be blaming that person instead of trying to handle it yourself. Because I mean, it's experience speaking there, where it took me a long time to really understand and really identify it within myself.
Yeah. It's I kind of go back to this whole the show that I watched, The Married at First Sight. The season that I'm on right now.
No relation to.
Yes. The season that I'm on right now, it's funny because there's two semi-older couples. They're in their 40s, and they're very two independent, strong people. But it's like, man, there's not a lot of chemistry there. They're both self-made people. They have money. She's got a business. He's got his own money, investments and stuff. So they're good. They're two good people. He's more outdoorsy. She's not, but she wants to travel more and it's not as much business. So I see why they put them together. And then they had another young couple, this younger girl, she was, I think, 25 and 23, 25, somewhere right there. And he was already 30, 31. And he didn't care who he got. She wanted someone older, mature. And they just hit some bumps in the road. And she's like, I'm out. And it's like, she's not understanding. It's like, even her mother was like, dude, what are you doing? Like,
you can't throw in the towel so quick. I mean, you can, but it ain't gonna help.
It's almost like I'll relate it to where I tell people sometimes there's no such thing as a bad job.
Right.
You go out there and you work. You earn the money that you earn, and you know what? There should be no reason why you go and apply for a job and then you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm out, and you leave the job in 3 days. You know what? You be responsible. You took on that responsibility to do that job, and you stick it out. You stick it out for 2. You know what? This isn't for me. I'm going to put in my 2 weeks. I made a mistake. But you know what? Where's the accountability there?
Yeah.
Where's the accountability there? Just going, hey, I'm out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's not how life works. You're not supposed to,
But you know what, though? Like I said, is that their upbringing. What were you able to just cop out when you wanted to? Hey, I'm bored. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go to little Bobby's birthday party. I don't want to do this, that, and the other. I wasn't able to. And I'm very grateful now that I actually grew up with a lot of people who were hard on me. Yeah. They were really hard on me. They'd be like, hey, get over here. And
Well, right
You
now, she
don't
said,
quit.
yeah,
What time is it? Why aren't you on time? And I'd be like, whoa, whoa, and I like
yeah,
inside I'd be like, oh, but you know what? It molded me and it made me this person that is, I mean, I'm great with time management. I'm
yeah,
always wanting to learn. I used to be more of a victim, be like, oh, poor me. But now that I'm more mature, now I'm just like, I'm confident to say, dude,
yeah.
they made me they made me confident. They made me hold my chest out and be like, dude, I'm good because they taught me the hard way. No sneak arounds, no.
And it can happen both ways. I mean, for me, I feel like I wasn't taught that. It's the opposite. We
Mm,
were always late. We were always like that. So I chose to be different. So
mm,
that's why, I feel like it's a cop out sometimes. We're like, well, that's the way I was raised. Okay, well, that's not the way I was raised. I mean,
mm.
that's the way I was raised, but I chose to different. So it's like, which one is it? Is the cop out that's the way I was raised, so I'm used to it, or I was raised that way, that's why I want to be different. So it's like, people use it as a cop out, because I ask my friends sometimes, oh, that's just the way I am. Oh, okay, but you like being that way. That's the way you want to be the rest of your life. No. Okay, well then instead of, you can't use that cop out. If you feel comfortable, you don't want to change and you don't want to be whatever, I'll respect you more than if you tell me, you know what, yeah, I don't want to be that way, but that's the way I was raised. Well, then see, that's a cop out to me. Because you
Mm,
can't have both. You
mm.
can't be like, oops, sorry, my bad, but that's the way I was raised. But I know it's bad, and I don't want to be that way. But that's the way I am. No, see that you can't have it both. You can't have oh, pobrecito, that's how he was, and then all of a sudden, but he doesn't want to be that way because he knows it's not good. It's like you can't have it both. So you got to choose. You know what? I feel comfortable like this right now. I don't want to change. Maybe one day I will, but I'll respect that person more than I would respect the person that gives me both.
Yeah.
Right? Because you got to choose one or the other. You can't
Yeah.
choose both. Can you?
No, you can lie to yourself.
But you can't lie to. Sometimes you can't. That's why I said I know what questions to ask my friends when they say certain things. Like, that's the way that I am, and I'm like, well, this, and that. They're like, no, okay, well then that's not the way you are. That's the way you choose to answer because you have no other excuse but the one that no one wants to hear. Like, we're not working on it.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, look, one of my bad habits is I am running behind a lot. Do I eventually want to work on that? Sure. But I guess I don't honestly prioritize, even though I know people say, oh, being early is you're being responsible. I don't see it that way yet, to be honest with you. If I get there 10 minutes late, 15 minutes late, 30 minutes late, again, see, here's the one thing about me though. Guess what? Guess who the guy who's staying there after picking up the tables is? Guess who the guy helping everyone else out is? Guess who the guy? See, your face just changed right there because it's like, see, it's like, so I have my goods and my bads. It's like when I said, I run late, and it's like, yeah, 30 minutes later, your face was like, what? And then all of a sudden, but I made the comment where it's like, but you know what? I'm there picking up, I'm there helping out. And when I get there, I don't just, like, hey, what are we doing? Hey, what can I help out with? I'm that person. So you got to take me with my goods and my bads. So I might be there late, but trust me, I'll stay there after helping, picking up, doing whatever. Other people won't, get there early and leave early, and they won't do nothing. So again,
I'm not that percent
no,
late
no,
for
I
me
got
either,
you, I
homie.
got
So,
you, I got you. I mean, if you're there early and you're there late, damn girl, that's good. I mean, hey,
but listen. Anything started good ends good.
yeah,
Anything started bad, it most likely ends bad. And that's how I've always taught, and I teach that to my kids too.
yeah,
Seriously, it's very important. But speaking of also, the way we were brought up and everything, I think what's also helped me too is that I was very fearful to do bad things. And I think that was a one up for me because then it gave me wisdom. It gave me wisdom on how to act and behave as I got older. And
gotcha.
I was able to snip that part of me that needed to be, worked on a little quicker.
Mm,
It really
yeah.
did.
And for me, it's like I saw it and I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, oh, yeah, I don't have a real, no, don't want to do that.
I was listening to our podcast from before and how you were always saying how, you like just the way you were growing up. I think you felt like you always, like your grandma was always going to be there for you. You always had that cushion. And I think that's why it's hard for you to really be like honest and follow laws. And I think that is your biggest obstacle. And usually, I saw my friends that were very addicted do the same thing because they always got that, they always had that cushion. Mom didn't want them to go in, they'd bail them out, or this happened, and they'd always be there for them. And that's why they kept doing the same mess up.
For me, the growing up part was define the differences between dependency and support. Two big different things.
Right.
And that's the
Right.
hard part when you have, you're depending on your mother, especially she's the one that's doing everything and not putting you to challenges and whatever.
Right.
Well, then you don't know the difference of support and
Right.
dependency. So it's like, so you got to prove yourself that you deserve this support.
Okay, so I think it's really important that we touch a little bit more on our past childhood, because some of us who always did what we were told, and then later on got all bitter about it, but then stopped and said, "Okay, I'm fine, and I need to follow the rules again." That's one mindset, right? That's one mentality, and then we go into our relationship, and then we grow, right?
This all ties in though, like we go back to what I'm saying. Our childhood, was your parent the medicine or was she a cure? Because again, it goes to how much education she gave you. So maybe in certain
Yeah, you
things,
can't teach what you don't know.
exactly.
Yeah.
So sometimes, our parents can be cures or they can be medicine.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, I got to run to mommy and stuff. It's like, it's like, cause the really easy one to see when you're a little kid, it's like, are you the mom that, and again, everything's got a level, right? The baby falls and the baby quickly looks at you. And the first thing you do, if you make a face, you can make a baby cry just by, why is it? Because you're that feeling. They look for you for that feeling. So what are you going to give them?
Right.
So sometimes if you don't even look, oh, he fell, don't even look. And it's like, they're like, oh, wait, she's not looking. Okay, I'm good.
I've done that before.
Okay, because
unknowingly, but I've done that before. Like, don't cry, didn't see anything.
Yeah, exactly. And why does that work? Because they're looking for the medicine. They're looking
That's
for the
true.
medicine. They're looking for the, oh my God. And then they're looking for that medicine. And the problem is if you give it to them, and again, there's all kinds of levels. I'm not saying, oh, he's got a nail in his hand.
Right.
You know,
Some of us are more needier than others, right? Yeah.
So, there's a time and a place, but the point is that sometimes we as parents, have raised our kids and could be medicines or we can be the cure.
Yeah.
So if we put them to the test in certain ways, if we put them, then we're the cure for them to be able to grow.
Yes.
But if we're the ones that they're going to run to with every problem, every situation, guess what they're going to do with their relationship?
Yeah.
And that's where we go tie back into what we're saying. We can't be medicines for, we can't be the mommy to our husbands and we can't be the daddies to our wives. We have to sit there and be who we are and figure out who we are to be that person for that other person.
But remember, though, we have explained that it's easier for a man to be more daddy to a girl because, hey, that's why we're called baby. We want to be treated like a little girl.
Yeah, actually,
to an extent.
But there's a fine
without
line.
The tantrums.
And again, there's a fine line though. The fine line is I could sit there and be like baby, baby, baby in a supportive way, or I can be like baby, baby, baby on a dependent way. And that's the way that you have to figure out the two: cure or medicine. Support, dependency.
Yeah.
That's what we have to figure out, those lines. And to really figure out those lines, you have to understand yourself. You have to do that self to understand how can you be that medicine, that cure for your partner and for yourself. So you're not a dependent person, especially if you see that you want to change and be different.
Yeah.
You have to look for the help because if we don't change, it's just going to be a very, very long road.
And you're gonna feel every day like you're waking up like a gerbil. You just go to your little running machine.
And it's like, oh, here we go again. Here we go again. It's the same routine. And it's just like, and it's not easy, guys. It's not easy. If this stuff was easy, man, I would have wrote a manual a long time ago and say, here you go, just follow these steps. But it's not that way. Everyone's independent. Everyone's at different levels. Everyone's at different, books, different versions, different everything, because people have hurt. People have humiliation. People have, anger, people have loneliness, people have all kinds of different pains that we're dealing with in our lives that we've experienced throughout our childhood, and sometimes even our middlehood and our adulthood and everyhood. So we have all this baggage that we have, some that we've thought we've overcome.
Yes.
And just because you're in a great place right now doesn't mean you've healed them though.
Yeah.
Again, that's a whole different topic. Overcoming something and healing something, Two different things. All right. You can be very successful, and we see it with celebrities, right? We're like, wait, what happened? Wait, that person's like
Yeah.
this, and that. Well, that's because
Yeah.
that child is still hurt. That person inside, they never healed. He can stay away from things and be better. But once things get in there and he's in trouble, she's in trouble, it will come out. And that's why we see a lot of celebrities sometimes just hit rock bottom because
Absolutely,
they were able
because
to
there's
overcome something to be something greater, but they never healed.
that's because it's listen, just like there could be good success, there could be bad success. There's people that we've seen, right, in full
Mhm.
view who have wealth, but they don't have peace.
Well, the thing is this: are you running to success to escape your
There
demons?
you go.
Is one of the things.
Yeah.
Sometimes running to escape something, and you're like, "Wow, I'm so great," but you just ran from it. That is
Yeah.
not always the best way because again, that's what's going to end up happening. And you know what we always say?
There's no growth.
Without pain.
Until next time.
Until next time, guys.